Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers, Facebookians. Welcome to another edition of Living Simply and Fun. I'm your host, Aries, aka Rita, and that's aka Aaron Joe Bob, aka Aaron. I'm just joking. His name's Aaron. Anyways, today I want to say I got the motivation and the motivation to do this video
about motivation.
For Angela. So I want to thank Angela, and if Heather's watching this and she's a subscriber, we want to thank your sister wholeheartedly. She gave me the idea while I was laying in bed this morning. So this one is going to be called motivation, and what was the other word?
Pretty much a synonym of motivation. I just can't remember right now. And it's not important. It's a synonym. So it's still the same topic. Anyways, yeah, we're going to talk about motivation. Does it seem that we don't have enough motivation to tell you about it? Sorry, had to make a joke there. So, anyways, motivation is not always the easiest to come by, and sometimes our own fears hamper our motivation. For instance, sometimes I really want to paint or draw, and I get the idea in my head and I say I'm just not good enough to do that, and so I never get around to it. And since it's the only idea in my head at the moment, it keeps me from doing anything for several months. And sometimes something sparks and then bam, you got motivation to do it, because I had this one idea for painting for the longest time, and I just had no motivation to do it because of, well, as I said, my own fears that I wouldn't be able to do what I had in mind. And then one day I was reading a comment that somebody had made, and bam, I had motivation to paint. And I'm not exactly happy with the outcome. I was thinking about giving it as a gift, but
to Heather, of course.
Yes,
to be truthful.
Honestly, yes. And I still want to touch it up, and I just haven't gotten the motivation to do so because I've just had so many other things going on. And
encouragement, motivation, encouragement, and the drive.
And so sometimes, yes, okay, so it's not exactly a synonym, but sometimes we need encouragement to find motivation, and that's true. I suppose in finishing that picture for Heather, which I still wish to do, I haven't had the encouragement to do so, and I don't know.
He gives me the motivation and encouragement to do a lot of things that I don't even think about, you know.
Yes, that is true.
And you're not... See, the other part of motivation is people sit there, and Aaron's had it done. You, the viewers, have had it done. I've had it done all my life being disabled. And I will talk about this for a minute since, you know, Aaron usually does the one that does all the talking and goes, blah, 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 blah. But you need encouragement. You can't tear down someone. And you can't tear them down and build them up to a point, and then tear them down and build them up. You need to build them up strong like a pyramid. And to do that, you need to encourage them and motivate them. I used to motivate my nephew. I'd sit there and I'd be like, what's this? He'd be like, oh, that's the new game I want. I'd go out and buy it, and then I'd be sticking it, like, if his thing's like this, I would stick it up here and say, here's what you got to do. The lawn needs to be mowed, and your bedroom needs to be cleaned. He'd get motivated, and when he was done, I'm like, here you go.
Yeah, that's an induced motivation.
But
it's basically bribery for motivation, and
he wasn't
that's not quite the same
room.
as getting your own motivation, though. Sometimes you need to find something that sparks you. And the only way to do that is to look at what's going on around you.
For example, I'm looking at my office here, and I'm thinking I need to tidy it up a little bit, you know, clean it up so it looks a lot cleaner.
But you probably won't get the motivation until something happens where you have to get the motivation, like somebody coming over. Then you'll probably get the motivation to tell me to do it.
Actually, the last time I tidied up the office, it was my doing, not yours.
I know.
But, you know.
But things like the dust under your monitor.
That I have a problem, but I usually bribe him to do it. But that's beside the point. The point we're making is you need to be encouraged. I mean, yeah, you just need to have the encouragement. If there's no encouragement, no motivation, then you're just going to sit there and be like, woe is me, I can't do this. I mean, I used to be told, growing up, that I wasn't going to amount to a hill of beans. I was going to have plastic surgery. I was going to have this. I was going to have that. I was tore down. I was never, tore down, and then I was never rebuilt. A person had to be motivated in themselves, and that's where some people are. They're poor. They get motivated. You're going to be poor the rest of your life and all this crap. And all of a sudden, one day, they're looking down at the people telling them that they're poor, that they're like a billionaire. And they look down and say, who's poor, you little schlub? I mean, they had the motivation to go far, but,
Yeah, and as I'm trying to say, usually, though, the motivation comes from looking inside and saying, how's my situation? Do I like my situation? Am I happy with my situation? For things like moving or going on vations or just taking a break or who you talk to, it's all dependent upon yourself and whether you can find a reason to do so. And sometimes it's just like, well, I have no reason to do so. However, when it comes to talking to people, it should be a matter of morals and being polite. You have somebody that's talking to you, then that's different than motivation.
I wanted to say also, for example, another example is, one day me and Aaron did some research. I was motivated, and I never got really deep into the movie thing, but I said, I'd like to go to these islands, and Aaron says, that'd be cool. And, anyways, my apologies about him.
Very sorry about that. Yes.
Anyways, what I wanted to say is, I got motivated to look up some stuff about island living. Well, Aaron got me more motivated one day when we were talking, and he came up, wonder what the cost of living there. I never even thought about the cost of living, so I looked it up. I did look up the cost of living once on the Virgin Islands. Aaron was like, holy schmoly, $9 a gallon for milk.
Yep.
And like $400 for your electric bill.
We're talking about recent motivation. You hadn't been interested in fishing for probably 2 or 3 months, and then all of a sudden I introduce you to a documentary called Troutgrass, and now you're all about fishing and been looking up a lot of stuff on fishing.
Again, about fishing, yeah. But I'm not going to be allowing someone to tear me down about fishing either. I'm motivated and, and
in fact, we almost ended up in a point where I kind of almost tore down her motivation for fishing, which I wasn't intending to do. I was talking about precision fishing when she was talking about luck fishing, and I was saying, well, there's 2 different ways to fish. And I was trying to explain to her, and then she said, kind of just felt like, well, I don't want to precision fish. I don't have the skill for it. I need to luck fish, and that if I can't luck fish, then what's the point? And so she started to get disheartened about it, and that was not my intention. I was just saying my way would be to strategize and to pick my fish, whereas her way is luck. And she was talking about how far lines could cast, and I was saying, well, you don't need a line to cast 80, 90 feet because you have no precision then. You can't just lay it gently over the fish so they'll drift back right across the fish's path.
He's talking about fly fishing, and the other thing that disheartened me when he was sitting at it is the jack-off guy that we go fishing with. He's always doing something, stealing our tackle, stealing this. So this year
planting his line right over ours so that he spooks the fish closer because we don't have the skill to cast 90 feet like he does. So we cast about 60 feet, and he casts like 65 right over our line and spooks all the fish in the path. So the ones closer to us are already gone, and they move towards his.
And then we've learned recently that when you fish, you're supposed to be split up into different areas.
And he tries to fish right over us.
So this time around with all of it, and by the way, there's another motivation that I was going to say, another thing that motivated or encouraged me on fishing. And it goes like this, for example. This ain't about a fishing video. This is about encouragement and motivation for everyday life. When it came to fishing, he says books are useless. Guess what? I've learned a lot reading from books. I learned more about fishing reading about books and what needs to be done than what isn't, I mean, I did not know chicken gizzards can be used for catching a walleye.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, you use corn just like carp.
Yep.
A walleye won't eat corn.
And I wanted to say one other thing in this video, because I think we're kind of done with motivation, because really it's something that you just have to find something that sparks you into doing something. So I want to say this to a friend on my Facebook gaming account. I posted something a while back, essentially about something that happened to me at Walmart, and they decided to call me a liar because they said that I had to be angry about what happened to me at Walmart. I am not an angry person. I do not get angry. I always forgive anybody for any reason, and I try to have understanding for any purpose. I tried to look at that situation as the Walmart employee was frustrated. They were having a bad day. There's no reason for me to complain and try to ruin their job because something was going on out of their control. And here's what I'm trying to say about that. For those who don't know, I went to Walmart to get phone minutes for mine and Rita's phone at $15 a piece. I stood around near the electronics center for over half an hour when every employee that I talked to said, well, the electronics person is around somewhere, or they didn't even ask me if I needed help. I tried to flag a couple down and they ignored me. And then finally, when the electronics person did show up, they slammed down a box of DVDs and they're like, what do you want? And I'm like, I need to get minutes for my phone. Oh, fine. And then she walks behind the counter, she rings it up, and she's like, with the cards as fast as she can, obviously angry, throws them on the counter at me, and then she says, how much, gives me the receipt. I sign the receipt. She does whatever with the receipt. She grabs her box and walks right off to wherever it was she was. Now, I've understood from some people that Walmart just went through a lot of the layoffs after the seasonal help. A lot of people are scared that the layoffs aren't done. And they're trying to restock the shelves after the holidays, and more than likely her boss told her, you get those shelves restocked by the end of tonight, and so she's got a fear of losing her job if she doesn't get them done. She's working by herself, so she was working her butt off trying to get them done so she doesn't get fired or reprimanded, and instead here's a customer who interrupts her time. I guarantee that there was probably something like that, and that's probably why none of the other employees stopped to help me out or ask if I needed anything and ignored me. They were in a hurry to do their jobs too. So, should I have complained? The company would have ended up looking at it as the employee's fault, and that would have been a negative on her, and if she's already stressing now, I don't need to cause more. And the real complaint is about Walmart itself, and the management at that local Walmart, and the management wouldn't have cared what I had to say about them. So, was I angry? No, I wasn't angry. I should have been angry. That woman was far angrier than me, and I had the right to be angry.
And I just want to make a statement, because I've been friends with Aaron 8 years.
She's
and
seen me get angry
twice. However, if I was in a situation loafing around with Aaron, I would be throwing a fit, and he knows it.
The one time I got angry was at a person at the community health center, or not the community health center, it was our local hospital. They told me that I couldn't be seen for emergency care unless I paid off my bill, which they wanted $1,300 given up front. I told them I don't have it, I'm disabled, I'm on Medicare. And I told them the most I can pay is maybe $5 or $10 a month. And they said, well, the least that you can do is $50, and you miss one, you're never coming back to this building.
Oh, he's missed several.
I've actually missed 3, but I still keep paying $10 a month when I can. I didn't pay in December. Oh, wait, no, I did pay in December. I didn't pay in November, and I didn't pay in October. But otherwise, I've been very good with my payments. So
I've been paying mine here and there, but they keep... Problem with the hospital pisses me off, and Aaron knows my anger, is they freaking do not consolidate the bills. You go in there, they bill you for each little thing. So instead of one visit to the ER, you might get 9 bills for it.
And the other time I got really angry is when a person at the local Shell gas station kicked us out of the Shell, only because he didn't want to deal with us.
He didn't want to deal with me.
It's because Rita was transgendered and he was being discriminatory, and he says, we have a right to refuse service to anybody. Please get out of my store right now.
And when we reported it to
the woman who owned the place was our friend, and of course I went in and started yelling at her about his behavior, and he ended up getting reprimanded for it. But it's very rare that I end up getting angry. So
I got angry
that person
once
on Facebook who said that I was definitely angry and trying to act like I wasn't. I am not one to get angry ever.
I get angry, and I know one time I got so angry I went to Aaron and I said file a complaint with the DOJ over Moppy because I basically tried to lay down the law to the people. Instead, I got kicked out of the grocery store permanently.
I got angry with Rita twice, but that's a private issue, and I don't want to go there. And
3 times actually.
3 times? I know of 2 times.
3. But we won't go there. I've been angry with him many times, but for little petty things.
And usually I don't even get angry back at her when she's angry. I don't like to argue. I don't get angry.
I don't like to argue either, but I like to make my point.
I try to be the person who sits there and says, there's a reason for everything, and if the person did this, there must be a good reason behind it. And so I just rationalize everything and say, oh, well. There's another person a couple years ago who thought I should be making passes at them, and I wasn't, so they thought that I didn't like them. That's not the case. I'm just a person who does not make passes at someone. I'm more, as I was telling a friend the other day at the grocery store, is I'm kind of the old school girlish type that needs to be advanced upon, and I need a woman who's kind of more masculine who will actually do the advancing, because I'm not likely to, ever. It doesn't mean I don't like you. It doesn't mean I don't have interest. And I do rationalize things in my head like this person could be in a relationship. I'm not going to fight them over that relationship. The other person's with them. I don't want to make anybody angry or upset, etc.
It's funny about relationships and the motivation because when I go to the grocery store, Aaron's sitting there and his mouth hangs open like, it's like, how could you do that? I could walk up to a young lady and basically tell her she's so very beautiful, and he's just sitting there like, you got balls.
Yeah, and if I try to say anything like that, I get lightheaded, nervous, twitchy, and I start sweating, and I just can't do it. In fact, the other day, our friend Diane, I tried to say, the reason you're so popular is people find you cute, like Rita's always saying, and I was having a real hard time even trying to say that. I did manage to say it, but honestly, I did not feel very good about saying it. Not that I felt badly that I said it. It's just, it's not something I say unless I'm really close to a person. And although she's a friend, it still doesn't feel appropriate for me to say that. So, if anybody wants to say that I'm lying over being angry or lying over an interest because I don't show it, I'm just saying that's not me. I could be plenty interested. I just can't show it. It's who I am. And I can't be angry.
The thing is the girl's got to chase him.
And I know that's not the way things work. And
let me put it to you this way.
Women are always talking about how they want equal rights, and I've seen this a lot of places that women are like, well, I want equality. I don't get paid the same as men. Women don't have not accepted equality because otherwise they'd chase men just as much as men chase women. They don't do so. They want the men to chase them. Second, they wouldn't care if they're the breadwinner and the man's not, and a house husband or something. They do care. They want the extra income, and they usually want the man to make more than they do because they want to spend the man's money as well as their own. And I'm not saying that's every woman because it's wrong to generalize and say all, but my experience with the women that I have met, that's how it is. And the few that might not have been that I've met, they've never explained to me or talked to me about their beliefs on the issue. So, sorry I got off on a tangent from our motivation, but I felt motivation to say this stuff right now because it's things that have been going on in my life current that also had relevance as an important topic for our show.
Yeah, and I had one thing to say before we sign off is being motivated and encouraged. I've been encouraged and motivated through private messages to chase after a young woman, and I keep chasing, and I keep saying, one person keeps telling me, keep at it. The girl tells me that they are motivated for their own ideas, And then I got Brother Aaron here truthfully saying it's not going to work. So
how can it when the person that they're supposed to chase has put their foot down and said, absolutely not, I am not doing this at all, ever. Well, I'm sorry, but that kind of just means it can't happen ever. So what's the point of continuing to try? Because you're not going to change that mind once it's made. And really that's what this is about, is changing somebody's mind, what you're trying to talk about. And she knows who she is. There's no hiding it. And Rita's not angry either.
no.
And somebody might try to say she is.
It's just you need to have encouragement and motivation, and I think a lot of people in this world doesn't have the motivation and the encouragement, or they're being torn down to the point where they feel that they can't be encouraged or motivated to do anything, so they feel trapped or useless.
I mean, honestly, I don't think that I'd try to play I would never play the chase game myself, but if for some reason I was, and the person said, well, in this situation, I want a long-distance marriage that's 3,000 plus miles apart and wants children too, how are the children going to do? Is there going to be split custody? And by the way, I understand that there's a common law divorce just like a common law marriage, so if you're separated for a certain length of time, you're recognized in the state's eyes as being divorced, you can get married to somebody else at that point. That's not encouraging to me, and I'd want to stop the chase right there if I was playing it, because what's the point? That's not a relationship. That's not being together. Being together is like enjoying yourself in the kitchen and cooking together and laughing and joking, getting flour on each other, and being like, these cookies, why, doing things together, going out for walks. You can't do that in a long distance. What are you going to do? Just message each other now and then? There's no emotion in that.
What kind of boring? That would be boring, and there's no emotion.
And of course, both parents are going to want to be part of their children's life, but 3,000 miles separating, one parent's going to be the one that's involved in the child's life, the other one's not. So that's nothing except for a divorce with a messy relationship that ends up having children that need to be taken care of by child support because the other parent's not there to take care of them. So that's just not a relationship. That's not even a marriage. So I would be disheartened about it. It's not something to be angry about. It's just you got to say, well, I've been defeated in this and it's time to move on. But I'd still hope, if I was that person, to be friends with them, because obviously I liked them to begin with, so why not be friends still? I would rather be friends with everybody, including any exes I had, but...
all my exes live in Texas. Do.
Oh, and one other thing, I want to cut this off in about 2 minutes, but there's somebody who actually made a comment that Rita and me are probably a couple and married. No, we are not. I have my own apartment. Rita has her own apartment. We are best friends. I am with her all the time. I cook for her. I clean for her. I do various things for her. She does things for me. We hang out. We enjoy each other's company. We don't have friends really outside of ourselves. We have a few online, but that's online. And so, yes, it's kind of boring to sit alone all day. So we keep each other company. We are not married. We are not in a relationship. And so anybody who thinks that, please don't think that, because that's not true. So...
please add and subscribe if you like.
Suggestions below.
Please post comments in the box. Please add suggestions. And please wait for our next video next week. Thank you, and may God bless the world.